Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Simply Together show on the 9th of April. I've been out today. It's raining out there. It's not very warm. And where has that warm sunshine gone? Haven't got a clue. So today
it's a part-timer.
It's a part-timer, yes. We have got Nikkei on with me hosting. We have got Shelley, who is out and about. We will hopefully have Samara come on at some point. But we're talking about COVID, lockdown, March 2020. What happened? Where are you all? How did you get on? We're now April 24. Has your life changed?
Can't believe it's been 4 years.
Anything other than baked bread whilst you were in the lockdown? So we're just having a look at those kind of things and what happened to some people during that time and where they are now. So hello, Nikkei, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. I felt for you when you said you went out, it was raining, because that's how I felt when I was coming to work this morning. I'm like, oh my God, it's raining.
Yeah, it's raining. What is that?
Yeah.
Seriously, what is that?
Well, I suppose we could say it's April showers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's only the 9th. It's only the 9th. Does that mean it's going to last right till the end of April?
Well, hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
How are you doing, Shelley?
I'm cold. I've been out with the boys today and Amanda. So she's driving.
We can't hear you.
Hi.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes.
Now.
Yes. So you're out shopping. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
He can't hear because I've got my headphones in.
Yeah, he can see that we're waving though, can't he?
Yeah, he can see you waving. You say hi. Yes, Jake and Aaron in the back and Amanda's driving, so yeah.
Good.
I'm really good though. I'm not.
You're hands-free today. You are not driving.
Yeah.
Very good. Samara, how are you doing?
Hey, just absolutely shattered, I'll be honest. Half terms had me.
Oh, okay. When are they going back to school?
Next week, so Monday.
Oh gosh.
They'll be back. But it's been really nice because I have got really nice support. I mean, the kids are not at home right now. They're out at the farm with their godmother at the minute.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
Wonderful. Right. Let's get the show started then. Is that Shelley? She's not talking. Now. She's gone on mute now. So just whoever is out there, if you're watching, listening, drop us a message. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know how lockdown was for you, whether you've done something fantastic during that time, whether you literally just hibernated and needed to stay in that hibernation. What's life like now? We've come out the other side. So what was life like for you? Going to you, Nikkei. Mrs. I'm looking for flour.
I know. You see that thing looking for the flour, right? It's that thing. I don't know if you ever did when you're in your house where you're looking for something. You go to the cupboard, you open it, and you're thinking, why am I here? And then you go. And sometimes I could do that up to 3 times. And the thing with the flour, though,
was that then?
That's generally speaking. Speaking. And I just like it that search for flour because really and truly, now I think about it, I couldn't have really been looking for flour. What it was is the fact that I think I was not denial, but the way you go to the shop. So I go to my local shops and they'd be pretty full. Obviously, they didn't have toilet roll, blah blah, and stuff like that, but they had most things. And then this guy on our church Zoom call said, "Oh, he's been trying to get flour. He wants to bake and he can't get it." They're like, "Don't worry, we've got flour in my shop. I'll get you some." Well, got there was no flour. I was like, oh my God. And so it just became that thing because I did get into the whole baking thing. Not banana bread though. Mine was actually bread. Hey Trish.
Hi, you're right. Am I on?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're on. You're on. So mine was actually it was bread because I didn't know how to make it, and I just started with the 2-ingredient bread, which anybody can do, and then I just graduated from there, and I still make bread till today.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I do buy sometimes if I'm in a hurry, but in the main, I do still break. I still do bake bread, and I still do my shopping on a Friday evening. All of that is a legacy from lockdown.
Why on a Friday evening?
I have no idea. I think it was just that thing of because I was still working, even though I wasn't a key worker, I was still working, and so it was just that thing on Friday after because all the customers that we had, because they were all at home, it was all of a sudden they paid attention to what they were paying their money for. So we were really busy,
Right.
and so I think it was just that wind down. And where I'd learned how to make this bread that you literally just put all the ingredients in and you just left it. And then you brought it out and then you left it again and then you baked it. I would make it, I'd put it in there before I started work on Friday morning. Then I would take it out, then I'd go and do my shopping, and then I'd come back and then I would bake it. And so yeah, so that's the thing there. And then the other thing was being part of Simply Deez was just yeah.
So for those who don't know, Simply Deez did a community Zoom once a week on a Thursday evening throughout the whole 2 years.
All the lockdowns and beyond.
Yeah, we still do one now. We do it once a month now, but starting as soon as lockdown started, it then went onto Zoom, and that was there every single week. So that was a lifeline for some people. So fast forward then, Nikkei, we're now in 2024. What's changed for you? What's life been like? What have you done? Is COVID long out of your mind and lockdown?
No, I still find that it's in my mind, to be honest. I find that I have my feet much more firmly grounded in gratitude now, whereas before, I'm not saying I don't think I've ever really particularly been an ungrateful person, but it's one thing to have it in the back of your mind, but it's another thing for you to actually think about it and to be deliberately grateful. Because I think when we lockdown highlighted so many different things that were just there in the ether, like issues with mental health, issues with domestic violence. We had that came up quite a bit. And it just made me grateful for all the things that I understood that people had experienced that I don't mean this to put anybody or to cast any shade or anything, but when you don't experience certain things that can be quite horrible and nasty, it does make you grateful.
Yeah. Okay. So before I come to Samara and Trisha, I was a key worker. So that myself and my son and daughter, we were key workers, all living in the same house in the first lockdown. So key workers going out to work, continuing to do that. That didn't change. That was still the same as it had been. But obviously everything around changed because there was no traffic.
Yeah.
So as someone working out in the community where you're driving around all day, normally you're stuck in traffic. There was no traffic. Roads were quiet, quite eerie, very eerie.
Yeah.
Because it was quiet. The shopping, yes, there was all the shopping. Yeah, so fast forward then, 2024. I don't really think about COVID that much as such, to be fair. But for me, and it's just for me, that whole COVID and lockdown has then changed what I'm doing in a very positive way, because I gave up care work about a year or so ago. Now work full-time therapist in various different avenues, and I think it was lockdown and COVID that then made me realize that actually life is too short. You need to make those changes. If you want to do them, you need to do them. What you're waiting for, because so many people lost their lives. You know, it's you. What are we waiting for? If there's something you want to do, then you need to do it. So for me, I can say COVID and lockdown was very positive, because it pushed me to make changes in my own life and to then do a career change as such. A few of us became co-authors during that time.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I got a book.
Did you bring the book? I remember when I woke up and then I was driving in the car and I'm like, oh, I didn't take the book.
2 books. 2 books. Life in a lockdown, life out of lockdown. Oh, what's happened to Trish?
She's all scrambled.
I'll be back. Can you see me?
Okay. No. Oh yeah, we can now. We can now. So a couple of, there's quite a few of us became co-authors of either 1 or 2 books. So those things are absolutely fantastic. We will be doing book number 3, because we did book number 1 when we were in that first lockdown. We did book number 2 on one of those, I think it was the one before last lockdown, where we came out for a bit before we then went back in again. Some of us then were part of book number 2. So for me, COVID was quite positive in the respect of changes that I then made, but I fully recognize the trauma and devastation that it had for other people.
100%. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, and working in the community, I saw also the effect it had on people with disabilities, people with mental health, that isolation, being stuck in places, where they couldn't go out, etc., other than your 1 walk a day. When you're trying to explain to somebody with a learning dis or mental health, you're going out for 1 walk a day, that sometimes doesn't work. So I was fully a part of all of that. But yeah, for me, it worked out really well. We've got Trisha and we've got Samara. So Samara has got 2 young children. So I want to find out from Samara what that was like being at home with your 2 little ones. And then I want to go to Trisha, because Trisha is a TA. So I kind of want to know what it felt like for her from being in school to then not being in school, going back into school, coming back out again, that whole rigmarole. So let's go to Samara first. What was it like for you?
I actually had a really positive experience with COVID, with lockdown, I'll be honest, just like yourself, Cecile. Thankfully, she's like a little sister to me, and she was a godsend through lockdown, because just before the announcement was made, she was already staying at my house. So she called her mum and she was like, I'm staying with Samara through lockdown because I'm not leaving her on her own with the 2 children, because my youngest was 8 months old at the time and my oldest was 4. So that was a blessing, first of all, because I was locked down with my little sister basically, and she was literally my right hand through the whole process. I struggled to find things like nappies, formula and stuff like that was running out very quickly.
Really?
Yeah, so the nappies were a bigger problem. Formula, not so much. I think I had 1 episode where I was really like teary-eyed. Obviously, thankfully, I breastfed my son, but he was massive, so he needed like top-up feeds and stuff, so that's what the formula was really for. So he was strictly breastfed, but the formula was just an extra thing for him. But there was a time when I had to call on my son's godfather and say, please, can you help me find some nappies, because I'm struggling, I cannot find nappies anywhere.
Wow.
So that was really hard. My relationship with Amazon started in lockdown because I wasn't an
I think a lot of us had a relationship with Amazon.
I wasn't an online shopper at all before lockdown, I'll be honest. I really hated it. I like to try things.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like to try things. I like to go to the shops and actually see things, hold them in my hand. Like I'm quite a strange person like that, to be fair.
No, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, so I'm a try before you buy type of person. I like to see things. I like to like read things properly and stuff like that. So that was quite a challenge for me. But now, like Amazon and everything else is my best friend. I was also.
Have we lost you, Samara?
Oh, what's going on? Yeah.
Can you hear us, Samara? Because we can't hear you. So if you can hear us, maybe go out and... Oh, are you back?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm back. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I was singing a lot. So I sang for like a member of Boys to Men online. I sang for sort of like Stefflon Don online, and loads of like different celebrities. And my following grew on Instagram. I was entered into a lot of competitions. There was like loads of different rounds of these competitions as well. I sang for people like Fat Man Scoop, so it was really fun. I actually had a really great experience with lockdown. Loads of opportunities came when lockdown ended, so I was booked for loads of shows, obviously, as we was able to come out of the house and stuff like that. It was really hard to explain to like my 4-year-old though, oh, why can't we go out, mum? Why can't we see family members? Because obviously you have to be, I think there was a time when they introduced the bubbles and stuff, but even that was like very small. And my anxiety was really bad back then, so I didn't want anyone around us anyway. I was happy to just be locked down with the children and my friend. But yeah, just trying to explain to my eldest, we're not allowed out. You can't go to McDonald's this week or today, like for your little treat once a month or whenever it would be, because we can't really do that right now. It was just really hard to explain because the comprehension just wasn't there. Like, what do you mean? Like the whole world is on lockdown right now. We can't do what we like to do. So that was quite difficult. But again, I was just really blessed, if you want me to be honest, because obviously I know a lot of single parents were on their own, and thankfully I don't have that experience. I didn't have that experience, and I know that it would have been a very different ball game had I'd had to lock down with 2 children under 5. And I just remember, like the shopping was really strange. Going out shopping was very, very strange. Like me and my friend would tag team, so one day I'd go out and then the other day she'd stay with the kids, she'd stay with the kids, I'd go out, and vice versa. So that was nice. My sister was actually engaged and due to be married that year, so I've never flown before. I still haven't flown to this day because I've got really bad anxiety with flying, so I've never been on a plane before. But we'd actually booked Barcelona for my sister's hen do in May of when was lockdown? 2020. Yeah. So we'd booked Barcelona for that.
Is this me or is it?
Obviously and my sister's wedding was pushed back a couple of years as well, so that was quite difficult. Yeah, so yeah, but I had around I had a really good experience, I'll be honest.
I didn't know about the nappies and the formula. I'm thinking
I heard that.
Oh, you did hear that, so maybe I did hear it. Right, maybe I did hear it, but I don't know. It's only just kind of registered now. Okay, so let's move to Trisha then. So Trisha is a TA in a school. Obviously you've also got your son as well, so who's got learning difficulties. So what was it like for you?
Well, I've got to admit, when they first said that schools were going to be closing and that we were going to be in lockdown, I think us TAs, we thought we were going to be off. We literally, and then it dawned on us, I think we got an email saying that we are the key workers. For some reason, we hadn't thought of ourselves as key workers. We just thought we were off now. And then as TAs, we were on a rota. So literally the school sent out an email and every one of us TA, we were on a rota to at some point go into school to be in charge of some of the bubbles. Yeah, so obviously my son goes to a day centre, so they drop him off and drop him off home. So my workplace were quite flexible. So Ryan still was able to go into respite, but they weren't letting many people in, and maybe two adults at a time. So the days when he was on respite, I then asked, could I then come into school? And they were quite accommodating. So that worked well for me. So Ryan was still going out 1 week after my school had shut down. And then his day centre closed, and he was suddenly at home. So remember, I'm not used to seeing Ryan being there all day with him. I go to work, he goes to his day centre, he comes home in the evening, he's at home at weekends. So in total, he was now at home for 14 weeks.
Wow.
And it was quite hard for me. I don't know how I survived. Sometimes I think, God, how the hell did I survive 14 weeks being at home? So while people are out walking, going for walks, I couldn't. I was indoors. The only place I could go was my garden.
Right.
So we used to go out. Luckily, the weather was nice. My husband's also a key worker as well. So I couldn't really do anything until he came home from work. So I was actually trapped inside. Yeah. So I just basically had to do the best I can. Do the best I can at home, and just got by with Ryan. So it strengthened me. Obviously, it's quite hard with Ryan anyway, but it strengthened my whole personality that yes, I can. I coped. The local council did check up on me. They did come to sort of check, is Ryan okay and everything. So we were still on the radar, so they hadn't forgotten us. At school, it was difficult. Obviously, school, we had that short space of time to make sure that you had everything in. Sanitizers, literally everything had to be adapted. So there were the bubbles that they created. We all had to take it in turns. We had a teacher come in. There'd be 2 TAs being in charge of the bubble. And the bubble might only be 3 children, but we still had to be there. Yeah. And I think it got boring at school. We'd have to, when I used to go into school, I'd be there, but we were looking for things to do. Because imagine we had to stay at school from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock. Just manning the fort, basically. So so that was a lot. So it made the day seem double, just being at school.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I look back and think it seems ages ago, because even when you asked me to come onto the show today, I was trying to think which kids would still now be part of the lockdown process. So the kids that are in year 4, they would have been starting school when lockdown started. So so year 4, year 5, and year 6 would have been part of the lockdown. But any classes, any years beyond that, wouldn't know anything about the lockdown.
What about all the people? Surely they would have been trying to. And maybe I'm misunderstanding you, because obviously I'm not a teacher. But in my head, you've got the ones you're talking about, but then you've also got you've got those who, for example, their GCSEs were they excused, or were they marked down? There's I thought all parts of the educational system were actually impacted depending on where you were in the lockdown.
Yeah. Well, the children, so we're a primary school, so obviously the children leaving our school would be going on to secondary school. So who can tell? We won't know till, I think, years from now. There will probably be some report saying that the children of the lockdown were affected, when they do their bigger studies. But we definitely, I think we saw, we had to make extra allowances after the lockdown finished for children that were affected by the lockdown. So I think schools from the government got money to sort of invest in extra classes, extra little groups, because obviously it did affect, home learning is still not the same, it was online learning, and you can't beat one-to-one face-to-face teaching. So a lot of the parents had to get used to having their children at home. I think there always used to be jokes that the parents were now having the kids and they were seeing what we had to put up with.
I think so. If there's anybody out there who is a secondary school teacher who can just drop us a message, let us know what it was like for you. I mean, I know I know that I don't think they did GCSE, did they? Did they not use their predicted grades to do the GCSE?
You're right, they did.
But whether that actually has worked or not, there's going to be ramifications all the way from the younger ones who didn't go into school and were at home, and that was all new, to the older ones who then didn't do exams or did do exams, or however it was, or the whole online learning stuff, and etc. etc. So there's going to be ramifications for years to come, I think.
Yeah, because I think the first year after when it was GCSE, they used their coursework to predict grades, didn't they? How they'd been doing in their coursework, they used that to predict the grades for what they were going to get.
Which works and doesn't work, because we all know, we've all been there. So some of us are good at the coursework and not so good at the exams. Some people just fly with their exams and are not very good at doing their coursework. So either way, it's not going to work for somebody. And I know that there most probably wasn't anything you could do, but
but there's also this thing as well where people do exams and then they realize that actually, even though I focused on A, I was actually naturally better at B, and then they could switch course. Yeah, you're right. The ramifications, we're not going to know about it for ages.
Yeah.
To be honest as well, my daughter was in reception when lockdown hit, and I found a new level of respect for teachers, because obviously they were still doing the what was it was we using Microsoft Teams, I think. I can't remember what it was that we were using for her to study still.
Yeah, Samara, was it Google Classroom?
That's the one.
Because Samara, I think your daughter was at my school, wasn't she? I think.
St. Joseph's.
Yeah.
I miss that school so much. I really do miss that school so much. So we had the Google Classrooms. Obviously, they provided laptops and things like that for children that didn't have one, because my children were way too young for things like a laptop and stuff like that. So there just wasn't one in the house. And I just found a new level of respect for teachers, because thankfully I am a really hands-on parent. I mean, even today, like they're thinking, to be honest, of moving my son up a whole school year, which is something they've never really considered for his age before. And I'll be honest, there's, as much as people say, I've heard a lot of, because I've been in a lot of talks with other parents, and they're like, oh, the teachers should do more to support and do more to help. I'm like, actually, us as the parents are actually our children's first teachers. So we should never be relying more on any teacher to teach our children anything. I just found a really new lease of respect for teachers when lockdown hit, because there was, teachers were obviously going through their own stuff, maybe, God forbid, lost loved ones due to COVID and things like that, and was still providing some form of education for our children. But I know that my daughter did struggle, because then she didn't want to leave me. So when school started back, she just didn't want to leave me. She just wanted to be with me and her brother, because it became the new normal for so long. So but I just really respect teachers. I don't think I could ever be one, because I feel like karma's a real thing, and I don't think I was the best child in school. So but I just really respect anybody, any teachers, anybody that was on front line through COVID. I have a high respect for, because me as an individual, I couldn't do it. So it was a very, the time itself was like I said, it was very strange. Say it again. What did you say, Nico?
She muttered something. She
said something. I don't know. Okay, right, so she's frozen because we're still moving. Oh, are you moving now, Nico?
No.
Oh no, she's gonna do like she did the other week, and she can't hear anybody. Shelley's back in.
Hello, Shelley.
That's really funny.
Hey, Shelley.
I'm now home. I can't quite hear you properly because you're on the phone and hang on. Let me try and put me in.
It's technology. It's 2024 and it's technology. And it's crap.
Because Cecilia, I came on my mobile phone. I was trying to get on my laptop, and I'm always rubbish at getting on my laptop, so I've just come on my mobile phone.
Can you hear us now, Shelley?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the audio to go on to me.
Ooh. Nico, can you hear us? Hello, Louise. How are you doing? How was lockdown for you?
I can't hear
How is how's life now? Did you make? I'm pretty sure you did, but did you make changes after lockdown? How did you manage? Was you at home? Let us know, Louise. Let us know what you was doing. Give us a bit of an insight. You're back.
I just feel like lockdown was very eye-opening, to be honest, like across the board, you know, and I just feel more grateful for life in general because it wiped out a lot of people as well, like it really did. And there was a lot of people struggling, and to some capacity that obviously I saw like a lot of rebellious people, like they were going kind of against the rules and stuff like that. And whilst I understood the frustration, because there was just loads going on. There was people saying that it was a conspiracy, and there's it's all, you know, some massive game plan. And I feel like the news, for me, I had to switch off for a little period of time. That was another thing that I just couldn't. I wasn't, you know, right at the beginning. So when they, you know, confirmed there was going to be a lockdown and stuff, I was really and truly like tuned into the news. But then as time went on, I was like, you know what? It's actually depressing me to turn on that telly and see the statistics, to see everything that's going on. And I was just like, my head's got to be completely straight for these kids because I'm still raising 2 children, and the news was just very depressing. So I just switched off from the news because there was just so many different things going around. And then obviously on the internet, you've got Facebook groups and people are all putting their 2 pence in. And it's just like there were so many different opinions. And I feel like in life in general, with anything, if you share something with like one too many people and you get one too many opinions, your head will be scrambled. And I've come to realize that in general, this is why I'm quite a private person with a lot of things, because if I share my stuff with one too many people, then I'll just be, my mind would be boggled. So it was like that same kind of concept for lockdown, because you'd get like your Facebook groups, like I said, you'd have Instagram, then you'd have the news itself, then you'd have all these forums that people will join, and that's loads of different opinions and loads of different, you know, conspiracies and I think this is why COVID's happening. That was another thing that was just really a lot
for me, because I'm a trustee at a charity that dealt with children with additional needs and young adults. We had all of their health concerns on our minds, and all of the mums and dads' health concerns, mental health concerns on our minds. Do we close? Do we keep open? What can we do to help? Because it was difficult for those children to then understand that their routine that they had day in, day out was suddenly gone completely. Out of no one's control, and you couldn't explain it, and having to do all these extra things at home, and that's why I then became one of the COVID champions, community champions, to find out this information in between that as much as you could and try and feed that out, because I ended up with 2 people dying of COVID close to me through that time. One of them was towards the very beginning. He had problems with asthma, and they were keeping everything under control as far as they were concerned. But someone that didn't want to follow any rules whatsoever brought it into their house, and he died. And the other one being my uncle that went into hospital because he ended up with a stroke and caught COVID while he was in there.
There's also such thing as they're calling them ghost children. I don't know if you guys have heard that term before, where children have literally like fallen off the face of the earth. So when all the children have gone back to school from post COVID, children turning back up to school, and even to this, so I was reading up on it maybe about a couple of months ago. I don't know what brought me there. I think I was watching a documentary and I heard the term ghost children, on the documentary, and then I kind of read into it a bit, and it's literally where, like I said, children post-COVID haven't turned up back at school, and obviously that's a massive cause for concern, because for me, I just don't believe there should be such thing as ghost children. You know, there's a child that's not turned up into your vicinity, that should be obviously checked, but then it's apparent that the statistics of ghost children is actually a mass number. It's huge. So yeah.
So does that mean the local authority then are not checking to see where those children are?
Quite literally, because and I mean, these children are slipping through the net, because then there's been certain children, I believe a little boy called Archie was one of them, actually died at the hands of his mother and stepdad, I believe. He was one of the ghost children, essentially. So he was at home, and throughout the whole of lockdown was literally abused. There was actually footage that went out about it, and it was a massive story for a little while. But he was one of the many ghost children, so he didn't turn back up at school. So when the schools were opening, because there was a time, because the school in particular knew that I was a single mother, and Araya was in reception, they actually opened the school to certain families as well. So it wasn't just children who had mothers and fathers that were working, because I wasn't working, I'm not working, so it didn't apply to me. But they just said, you know, to kind of relieve the fact, because I had a child under one, so they said, you know, if you want that bit of relief kind of thing. And I just said, well, no, because I thankfully I have got somebody in the house with me that's locked down with me, and I do want to, you know, she's doing okay with her studies at home, and she's actually learning a lot, like, through this process, you know, because that's when I started to teach her a bit more about, you know, cooking, baking and things like that. So she was learning a lot anyways, but even that as an extra option I was just very grateful for. But yeah, there's the ghost children thing still haunts me now, because I'm just like, how is there even such thing like ghost children?
But
people were moving around and locking down in different areas, and it was like, because the families were then staying together, both in a good way and in a bad way.
Yeah.
That, as you say, that I do remember reading about that one particular case, because they were at home constantly all the time. I mean, for mental health wise, some people preferred being locked down at home. They didn't have to go to work and everything else. But other people didn't like being at home. So you had that change, and then when they at the other end, you had the change back again. People were breaking down because having to go back into social.
I know we've spoken
but
on
those
here
things
before.
That you mentioned, Mara, that's why I get really I know that everybody's entitled to their opinion, so I'm not casting any aspersions on people's thought process and stuff like that, but I think sometimes when people are spreading conspiracy theories or saying it's a lie, I think it's quite thoughtless to the people who have lost people during COVID. Like you said, because why are they ghosted? Is it because something's happened to them? Has their family gone off the grid? Because I would imagine that some people would have used that opportunity to actually decide to live an off-grid life.
But that's isn't that part of the problem though, Nico, with conspiracy theorists, is they don't care about anybody else.
Oh, I still can't hear Cecile.
They can though, so that's okay. I'm pretty sure they can.
Yeah, so, I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, conspiracy theorists, you know, they that's their whole aim.
It's where I rejected the call. Maybe I should go out and comment again.
They're not going to take into consideration anything that might affect somebody else. They just want to get their theory out there, don't they? It's not about what somebody else feels. So Louise has said lockdown was crazy. She changed her career. Her daughter was away. Her mum sadly passed away. Life has drastically changed since. But we know, because we know Louise, that life has drastically changed for the better. She's living her best life at the minute, doing so many different things and so many really, really good things. And I know that we've had Louise on before who has said that actually after, most probably during that, and mum passing has then given her that fit, the I can't think of a word. It's just given her that aim to, you know, make those changes and go and do those things in life. So life has changed for Louise, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? For some people, it's been really good. For others, it was absolutely awful.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now, Nico?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Also,
Samara.
Yeah. Also, I went through like a time of reflection because I lost my mum, nearly 11 years ago. It'll be 11 years in June. And my cousin died 5 years ago this February, just gone. And those two people suffered with mental health. Those two people, so my mum and my cousin, they suffered with mental health and other things. And I'm someone that is still to this day trying to make sense of their passing. It's something that happens very often. And I feel like we're all, you know, if we've lost somebody close to us, we do often think, you know, because there's this thing that people go around with, everything happens for a reason. And I'm still on the fence about that saying, if you want me to be completely honest. Because I don't think anything's justifiable as to why I had to lose my mum so young and why my cousin at the age of 22 had to pass away. But when I do think about lockdown and think about my mum and think about Mortimer, I do think, wow, maybe, you know, they're two people that I don't think lockdown wouldn't have served them well at all. Yeah. Especially because for Mortimer, he was back out there, you know, doing his music, and that was his therapy. So he would go to studio or he'd do studio at home, and he was just passing with flying colours. He was going to shows, he was doing talks and things like that. So for him to be back in his prime, and then after such a massive thing happened to him, to then be told you have to stay at home, I think would have just sent him backwards. And then for my mum, I feel like, my mum suffered like really quite badly with mental health, but 11 years ago there wasn't even half the support there is for mental health as there is now. So I feel like, again, they're just two people that I don't think wouldn't have served them well at all. So I'm still on the journey of, okay, they say everything happens for a reason. I'm still trying to make sense of my mum passing, but it does bring me great comfort that lockdown isn't something that they had to experience, because I just don't feel, I mean, they could have surprised me if they were still here, you know, because they was two still very strong people, but I just don't think it would have served them well. So it kind of gave me great peace that it's not something they had to experience, basically, what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it was difficult for a number of people, you know, and people's mental health and everything around domestic violence and people at home, and, you know, so it's, it was a very difficult time. Fast. All right, hold on.
Sorry,
Louise.
For a question.
Hold on, just 1 minute, Samara. So Louise has put, she worked with a lot of prisoners exiting custody and having nowhere to stay. They couldn't go to families. Hotels were full. Yes, because actually you've got your bubble, so you're then not supposed to have anybody else coming into that bubble. So within houses and families, nobody could then go into that. The hotels were full because they'd taken everybody off the streets, etc., etc. So it was easier to go back to jail. What a thought. I'm still on the fence about the hotels and the homeless, because if you could do it then, why can't you do it now? But 100%. I'll just leave that.
Because they would have got paid by the government. They would have got paid by the government, wouldn't they? So without that payment, I
get that.
Because I feel that way about apps like Too Good To Go, and you know, like food that is going, that they have to throw away and stuff like that. Yeah. So I 100% get where you're coming from with that one. It's something I do think about, but
Samara, you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, two things. Obviously, just in response to what Louise said, there was also a thing, and I'm not going to lie, I was someone on the fence about this. They were doing early releases for certain prisoners as well due to COVID, because obviously they were prisons were overpopulated. Yeah. I'm very on the fence.
I'm not on the fence. I didn't agree with it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I went on the fence. I didn't agree with it either. Basically, yeah. No, because
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. No, I'm not on the fence.
I was on the fence. I have to say I was on the fence for a short while because I was like, all right, fair enough. But at the same time, I'm like, if you did the crime, you do the time. I don't see how, you know, all of this early release business is coming into play now, because these people, no disrespect, they're still criminals and they've still committed something. So they need to serve their time. It doesn't, do you know what I mean? Like, there still needs to be the same way that they're managing to, you know, deal with the educational side of things, so children can't go to school or whatever, however it's meant to play out for the children. They need to do that for the prisoners. That it doesn't mean that they get a free pass and get to come out. That was my view. But then I also wanted to ask Patricia, because obviously I spoke about the ghost children. Did you guys have any experience of that, children just disappearing?
I think we made sure that we knew where our children were, because our school were pretty good anyway, that we check up. I think we were still delivering meals to the kids that get free school meals. I think we'll still give them a little snack. I think, I'm not 100%. As far as I know, I don't think we did. I think we were pretty up, you know, on top of who was meant to be coming back to school.
Yeah, I can probably vouch for that, to be honest, because the school was very, very good school. The support system at that school is just absolutely crazy, very good. But so I would have been very surprised.
Samara, because during that time, there was a time I was shielding as well. I mean, I worked for a year, and then suddenly the government said I'm entitled to shield. So I shielded for about 5 months, but I still was teaching a pupil online at my home. So my school gave me a laptop, and I was signing in with my pupil, say 3 hours a day. So you know, we were still keeping it going.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many teachers that were given that extra, and this is why I say, you know, I do take my hat off to the teachers, and I just don't, because I think you did say at the beginning that you didn't see yourself as frontline, did you?
Yeah, because I actually thought I was off when we got that letter saying our schools were closing.
This is what I mean. So even for that, you know, teachers weren't really looked upon as frontliners, and you were, because, you know, the school was still open to said children. I know that they were still open in the school to some capacity. Because as I'd mentioned, that was offered to my daughter, but I refused it because she was doing really well at home. But I just don't feel like, you know, they were doing the clapping for the NHS and stuff. And to this day, sorry to say, I don't understand that, because I don't know what the clapping didn't get them a pay rise, did it?
No, but it was actually. I'll just add to that though. I'll add to that though, because I want to go back to Louise, but I'll add to that. As somebody who was a frontline worker with 2 other people in my house, 2 neighbours of frontline workers, it was really nice when people were outside on my close and they were clapping and actually talking to us, and it felt so. I know the whole big thing and nobody got a pay rise and etc., but it was quite heartwarming where I live, because I knew they were clapping for us. They weren't just clapping in general. They were talking to us, and my neighbours and everything were checking in to make sure that we were all okay, going to work, etc. So I just kind of, it in a big scheme of things, maybe.
I just was looking more. It was a really nice thing. I mean, my close was dry because I think it was just me and the kids that went outside and clapped, to be honest. But even for that, because I don't know if anybody was following the story of Azalea. Diamond Kane, the little girl that died of leukemia. She was like 8 months old. Her dad was Ashley Kane and her mum was Sophia. That was a big story as well during that time. And obviously me and the children were going outside and we were clapping for her because they were doing a clap for Azalea as well. And again, I mean, the clap for the NHS was dry in my area, the clap for Azalea was dry, but even that, you know, was just a really, I mean, the little girl won the whole nation's hearts with her story, you know. So that was a very bittersweet time for everybody, because even throughout the whole lockdown situation, you know, and then obviously that happening afterwards, I think that was a massive thing, and it still is today, because there's so much going on even with that story. But that was another one.
I just want to go back to Louise before we wrap up. So Louisa said that her daughter was released early. So obviously she agrees with that early release. But these people were released on tag. So lockdown still prevented them from going out. So they were still serving their sentences. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. Obviously, everyone's going to have a different opinion. And for those who think it was a positive thing, that's how they feel. And for those who don't think it's a positive thing, that's how they feel.
Still, we were all on tag though. We all had tag. We just didn't have the bracelet because we were all on lockdown. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not me being funny, but it's not. I don't know what a tag would have done. Do you know what I mean?
I think
like,
it's
anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
But
we
I
were all on
suppose it
tag.
depends on the angle from where you look at it from, because I actually agree with what Samara said, but I can't hear somebody like Louise, I know, appreciated the fact that her daughter came home early and dismissed that. So in terms of the system of what they did, from a humanitarian point of view, people got reunited early, but from a systemic point of view, it probably wasn't really fair, like on teachers, on doctors and nurses and stuff like that, because obviously if something happened to those people who have been released early, that is an extra little burden where there's already burden. It's a system. I'll probably sound a little bit hypocritical, but that's life, isn't it? You do get those little pockets of hypocrisy there.
I think the hypocrisy was, I'm on the fence. No, I'm not on the fence.
No,
I was never on the fence.
I was for some time, because I was looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, early release, great for the families, but then actually hold on a minute, because I've still got a very soft spot in me. So a lot of my friends, especially those really close to me, know me as the marshmallow of the group, because I'm very soft where necessary. So I would think, oh, that's nice. But then I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute. Like, actually, I don't think so. So I was on the fence, but then I really just deeped it, as I'd say. I deeped it, and I was like, actually, how is that fair? Obviously I understand it's great for the families involved, because then, yes, they get relatives. Yeah, but yeah, exactly, because everybody's situation is different. So whilst a father might have his son or daughter released early, he's probably thinking, oh my days, I've already got enough on my plate because the whole world's on lockdown. Now I've got to fend for this extra mouth, for example, because remember, when people come out, and I'll be honest, it's not easy for prisoners, whether they come out early or not. It's not easy for them to come out, and I feel like intervention is not from experiences that I've had with people that I've spoken to, the intervention and rehabilitation isn't great anyway. I don't think this is what causes people to reoffend. So
okay, hold on, Samara. I'll hold you there, because exactly, Louise is thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. This needs to be a discussion. We need to do a show on this topic alone. We can then talk about. Say again.
I've just seen Louise's comment, and I did see that literally the other day that they're going to release early due to overcrowding.
So they've done that in the past already, anyway.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we will have a show specifically about prisoners, overcrowding, early release. We will get a couple of people on. Hopefully Louise will come on and let us know, how they feel about that whole system, and we can go down that road then. So before we're finishing, we had a book for inner lockdown. We had a book for outer lockdown. As we've said, we need a book now. We will be doing another book. And it will be about life as it is now, and whether lockdown had any kind of impact on it, what your life is like, so there will be a third book. Definitely.
Can I just say, go back to something that Samara said at the beginning, where you were saying you did tag. So the other thing that I still have from lockdown today is that me and my friend, we still do shopping for each other. Okay, that's another habit that we picked up there, because we used to do it. When she would go shopping, she'd say, oh, Nick, I've got this and that. I only need one and I could get two. Do you need one, etc.? So now we still do it till today. We'll say, oh, we're going to the cans. It's not even called the cans anymore, but do you need anything?
That's lovely.
I'm exactly the same, because like I said, Amazon became my best friend. So me and my friends would send each other little pick-me-ups in the post. So my friend would send me a little I don't know, a key ring that says, you're smashing it kind of thing. And obviously my other friends, they dropped a basket of things outside the house, and obviously left that had your Smashing Motherhood book in there and things like that. So it's really nice. And now it's just, I mean, I've always kind of liked to do these things anyway, but I feel like I just do it even more now, you know, on a random day, would send my friends something in the post, especially friends live in Barnet, which is quite far from us. But yeah, so it's just like you, Nika. It's something that's really nice that's just stuck ever since, which is good.
Yeah. Care packages, people were sending out things. I had a couple myself, and it was lovely. It's about how people were looking after each other. I think this is Shelley said she still has a customer that will send her sweets through to their friends. That's lovely. Nice. So gonna close for today because Nikkei needs to go and quickly eat lunch before her lunchtime finishes.
I know. I meant to put it in a flask today and I forgot. I didn't have time.
Thanks, Tisha, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have the rest of the team here as well. So we will be having a look at a show all around the prison system. Wow. Yeah. Get ready for that one. We've got our community Zoom on Thursday.
Just to add, my brother, I don't know if he's available, he used to be a prison officer, and I think he was working at a prison during the lockdown. You know Paul, who you met?
Oh, yeah.
I might mention it to him. I don't know if he'd be able to speak, but he used to work at Aylesbury Prison, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fine if he can come on. We're not going to just focus on lockdown. It's going to be about that whole system, because that early release that's going to be happening soon is not to do with lockdown. That is just early release that they're trying to get people out, aren't they? So, but it's been good to have him on. We've got our community Zoom on Thursday. So go onto our Facebook page, register for the community Zoom. It starts at 7:00. And it's just a group of people, and we talk about many, many, many different things.
Yeah.
It's there as a support. There you go. That's the show today. We will be back next week, same time, 12:00. Hope to see you then. Anyone on catch up, let us know what you thought. Let us know your thoughts about lockdown, etc. See you next week. See you then.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.